Cool.
and then we will be good to go. Um, while we are getting there, uh, I'm Ethan. This is my brain is Dad Bod Man, and I'm starting a company called Indeception, and we are interviewing Jesse Schultz, correct?
Correct. That's me.
Uh, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself while I continue finishing setting this up, and why people should listen to you.
Uh, all right. Fair enough. So I'm a chiropractor. I'm originally from Kansas City. I transplanted down here to Spanish Fort, Alabama, about a year and a half
This
ago
is
to pursue my dream of not freezing to death every winter. And so this past winter's been it was beautiful. I'm real thrilled with it so far. Um, So a little bit about myself, like I said, I'm a chiropractor. A lot of people don't know that that is a doctorate in the same way that a physical therapist earns a doctorate or a dentist earns a doctorate.
mm-hmm.
Uh, so I did go to school for about 9 years, all told, in order to be a chiropractor, and that surprises a lot of people. I think
Yeah.
a lot of folks have the understanding that we're kind of like a massage therapist plus. Um, I mean, it's not something that I am like a stickler about. I don't really ask my patients to call me doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Some do, some don't. It's whatever. As far as from an educational perspective
mm-hmm.
and from at least some authority on health and wellness and the human body, I went to school for a little while.
Okay. And so why did you choose chiropract? How do you chiropractor chiropracy? How do you say this? What is the word for it?
It's chiropractic, uh,
Chiropractic. Okay.
practic, and I'm a chiropractor.
Okay.
So how I blundered into chiropractic, I was at a little Methodist school in the Midwest called Baker University, and I played football there. And then my football career kind of ended. And as it was coming to an end my senior year, I had to see a chiropractor because I had a back injury.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and through that experience, I learned that chiropractors can help people get pain relief without drugs or
Yeah.
surgery. And so I thought that that was pretty neat. It was really my first experience with a chiropractor where I went for what we would call a treatment plan. He kind of
Mm-hmm.
prescribed a kind of care, and then I followed through on it. And I really enjoyed that. And I was actually thinking about going to med school at the time. And so, med school process is really rigorous, and I was going to have to take the MCAT and do all that fun stuff. And I looked into chiropractic school, and when I applied, my GPA was high enough to automatically be accepted without the MCAT. And
That's nice.
so, yeah, it was nice. I wanted to get going. And so I went ahead and decided to pull the trigger on that. And looking back on it, I'm definitely glad I didn't go to med school.
Yeah.
I think it was really, of those two choices, it was the best one for sure.
Absolutely. Do you? I take it you actually enjoy doing it then? Um.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable. It's super stressful.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, especially because I just graduated a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
and so as a newer doctor in the field, there's a lot of stress and responsibility that comes with it. I mean, you think you're just cracking backs, and you're just you're not really doing that much. But I mean, there's some things we definitely have to know. I mean, we got to be on top of some stuff
Mm-hmm.
in order to put patients at risk. The Hippocratic Oath says, "Do no harm,"
Yeah.
and ours is very similar. And so you have to approach things from that perspective, and you have to know what not to do first. But I do like it. To come back to your question, I do. My patients so far have been seeing really great results, which is exciting. When I'm treating a patient, like when I'm in the room or when
mm-hmm.
we're in the lab area, like I'm 100% there all the time because I just really enjoy how the human body works and trying to help people make it work better.
Gotcha. Um. And now, how, in your opinion, there seems to be kind of a stigma towards chiropractics, and I know growing up for myself, I was always kind of told, oh no, stay away from them. They'll just do more harm, or that it's just a con, or it's not, it's not real. Later in life, I've learned that that's not the truth at all, and that they are very beneficial. But in your opinion, do you feel like there is a almost of a negative stigma towards your practice to begin with?
To an extent, yes. I have not experienced a lot of that negative stigma firsthand, aside from a few old acquaintances on social media coming out of the woodworks
Mm-hmm.
to not a real doctor, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But by and large, when people are shy of chiropractors, they just kind of like avoid us at all costs.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a whole lot of that negative, feedback. But I know that it exists, and I've read the stories, and I participate in a lot of different forums with other doctors
Mm-hmm.
where we try to help each other stay on top of why people think what they think. I One thing I guess I would say is that around the same time chiropractic came into being, which was about 125 years ago, that was around the same time that doctors and dentists were prescribing cocaine or heroin for maladies. So at the same time we came into being and we were saying we can crack your back and cure almost anything, which is garbage. Somebody was also writing prescriptions for highly addictive. Well, and that doesn't change much, I guess. My point is that our profession has come a really long way in the
Mm-hmm.
last 105 years, and I think that we have really done a good job of eliminating a lot of the reasons why people were leery of us in the past.
Okay. And how long have you been up and running now?
Here at Health Source of Spanish Fort, we have only been open since the middle of May, so it's
Okay.
been about. Before that, I was working at a couple of clinics over in Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked long enough to realize that I really just wanted to be able to be my own boss. And that's when I was able to be fortunate enough to run into my business partners and get this health source
Yeah.
of.
Well, that's really good. So in your opinion, would you say that there is a correlation to potentially someone's mental health and the problems that they might be having that you could actually alleviate, that you could actually help with? That do you think that it actually causes mental problems or physical problems or fatigue or stress or what are the actual benefits of chiropractics?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. So just let's just talk general benefits
Mm-hmm.
first of all. The two words that I use most in my practice are mobility and stability. When I talk about mobility, I'm talking about every single joint in the human body:
Mm-hmm.
the spine, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. Every bone connection, every joint is designed to move in a certain way and to a certain degree. And over time, unfortunately, due to injuries, trauma, habits, posture, we lose a lot of those ranges of motion. We lose some of that mobility over time. When we lose mobility, oftentimes we also start to have stability issues. And when I say stability, I'm talking about all the muscles and all the
Mm-hmm.
things that hold together. So when I talk to patients, generally speaking, what I tell them is I've found mobility.
Yeah, we are coming back on right now. Well, no,
Oh,
we're not. Hold on. What a time to have internet issues.
oh man,
All
it's
right, I think we're coming back now.
okay.
All
Cool.
right, continue. I apologize for cutting you off there. Excuse me.
So long story short, when I talk about benefits, those are the two things I always hit on the
Mm-hmm.
most: is we can get you better mobility and we can get you better stability, and those things are going to lead to better health. Now, people do like to take things as far as they can down a certain train of thought. So if you're alleviating my pain, are you alleviating my stress levels? Are you going to help change my biochemistry? Is that going to possibly affect my mental health? In some cases, yes, absolutely. Pain can lead to all sorts of other health
Mm-hmm.
consequences. Chronic inflammation can lead to all sorts of other consequences. So, if we can help to alleviate some of those things, we might indirectly help with other issues, of course. But do I claim any of those
Yeah,
things? No.
of course. So what is the actual process? Say I wanted to come in and I wanted to do my first time in a chiropractic. What
Yeah,
exactly would I expect or should I expect coming into it?
good question, man. So, every chiropractor is going to start out with an exam, and they're going to just kind of, every exam is going to vary
Mm-hmm.
somewhat. But generally speaking, they're going to have you come into the office. They're going to grab your insurance information if you have any. And then they're going to run you through an exam that involves a lot of movement, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like joint screening, muscle screening, um, reflexes, nerve testing. And then at the end of that exam, we might take some x rays if we feel like there's a need to see inside. That's going to be day one, usually. Some chiropractors will then roll straight into a treatment. I don't. I like to take a lot of time to look at my exam findings and my x-rays to make sure there aren't any contraindications, is the term we use. There aren't any reasons I should not be putting my hands on a patient. And that usually takes me about 24 hours. So I'll
Okay.
have the patient the next day when we can start treatment. So I would say in a lot of ways, if anybody's ever been to a physical therapist, that's a very similar
Okay.
experience to what you're going to see.
Gotcha. Um, so we wanted to talk a little bit today about health and wellness altogether.
Yeah.
So what are I'm not healthy really. My brand is Dad Bod Man for a reason. So what can people do that aren't exactly active, that aren't trying to be the most fit person in the world? What's some of your advice that you can give them to better their life and health wise, whether it be diet, exercise, just that you think can help people?
Absolutely, man. I love this question because as I look around the world, what CDC finally put out a statement sometime this month that said, "Hey, by the way, vitamins and general health guidelines are really good for you,"
No.
but it's like an afterthought. And that
Fit person in the world.
as a natural practitioner, as somebody who tries to help others amplify their own health and optimize their own health, it's frustrating. So to the general, to every man, hydration is huge. I always pound on water. The fact that most people are walking around at least mildly dehydrated on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis. We are, and we've heard it since we were children, we are 65% water.
Yeah.
So, and we need it for almost every chemical process in our body, grabs at least one molecule of water and does something.
So
So
is there a potential for overhydration as well? I've read a little bit about overhydration, and because I drink a lot of water, and so it was a concern for a little bit for me, and I just don't know if it's actually something that is worth being concerned about to a degree, or if it is something that you have to drink a lot of water to get to that point.
the only thing I've ever seen, and I'm not an expert on
Yeah.
this, so I'm not claiming to be, but the only thing I've read is that after long periods of strenuous activity, it is possible to overhydrate. The example that I saw was a marathon runner. If somebody were to run a marathon and then immediately afterwards, if they were to consume, and it was a large quantity of water, I
Mm-hmm.
want to say a gallon of water
Whew.
in a really short period of time, there is a potential to essentially strip too many minerals and electrolytes out of your body
Mm-hmm.
into water too quickly. Um, from everything that I've read, it's an extremely rare occurrence, and it's really nothing you have to worry about unless you're kind of a high level athlete
Okay.
or something.
Gotcha. So you know, you chose to start a business at a very, very, very poor time. No offense. I think you've realized that. But how do you how do you navigate that? How did how are you confident in your choices and your decisions? How are you sure that this is the right call? Um, what gives you that motivation and that drive, and how do you continue to see your goals and never lose focus? Is that something you struggle with, or?
Oh yeah, of course. Every small business owner does, and they're lying if they say they don't. Um, this year's been really tough. Yeah, we had no idea, of course. I met my business partners in October, and we started talking about the potential of opening this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved into the planning stages in December, January, and then we started hiring contractors, and we got our space, and we started working in March, and that's when everything fell apart. And so I guess through that time, there of course there have been a huge amount of stressful scenarios
Mm-hmm.
and things that I learned on top of already being a business owner that I've never done this before.
Yeah.
Having those complications is messy, man, and it's stressful. It's really stressful. My business partners have been great. I would say that they have opened over 10 of these health
Okay.
source locations here in the southeast between Louisiana and
Mm-hmm.
Alabama,
Okay.
and so they've been able to shed some light. Our franchise, Health Source, is located in Avon, Ohio. They've been really great. They've been really supportive. They've given us a ton of information on how to navigate these
Mm-hmm.
waters. The support, I think, is absolutely necessary if you're a new business owner. If you're doing this for the first time, any kind of business, I don't care
Yeah.
what it is, you have to have some coaching. You have to have a support structure. I mean, if Peyton Manning needed a coach, if Tom Brady needed a coach, if Drew Brees needed a coach, like I need a coach
Yeah.
to do my job.
Yeah.
So that support structure has been huge. But it's still been tough. It's still tough to maintain motivation. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, you can maintain motivation on a daily basis. You just kind of have to put that out of your head.
Yeah.
It's an unrealistic expectation. I would say maintaining discipline is possible on a daily basis. Um, but motivation, no, it's just not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
There's days I just don't really want to put in the work because you get tired or you have
Yeah.
something, a million things happen. But you're always glad you did.
Yeah. Excuse me. That kind of brings me to another point. You know, I've failed a lot over my life, and I used to be really good at failing in the sense that it didn't really mess me up that much. But here recently, it's kind of accumulated, and it's just making it harder and harder. So, how do you overcome the failures that you do face? How do you don't let those detract from your goals and your mindset? And does it just go back to that structure and that support base that you have, or is it even deeper than that? Something that you actually can enlighten us on?
That's a great question, man. So yes, I've also endured some failures in my life. I'm 32 years old, and I graduated chiropractic school at the age of 30, which is probably 5 or 6 years later than the average student.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent some time exploring some different career paths before I found my way to chiropractic. I spent some time making personal mistakes, before I got to this place. And a lot of it, honestly, has really been internal work for me.
Yeah.
Things that I've had to choose to deal with um, in here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely been a journey. It's been really hard at times, I think. Of course, there are tools that you can use. There are tools that therapists and clinical psychologists have developed in order to be able to deal with failure
Mm-hmm.
better. Um, I always tried to do my best to reframe my failures and to, instead of letting the emotion of that failure consume me, I try to reframe it with facts and then learn something from it
Gotcha.
so
Mm-hmm.
that when forward, I can take that lesson with me, but not have the emotional
Yeah.
regrets, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. See, I kind of do the same thing, in the sense that every experience, every moment that we have is if we allow it to be is a learning opportunity.
Yeah,
Everyone that you meet has a different outlook than you do, and uh, failure isn't a terrible thing. It hurts, it sucks, but at the
sure.
same time, failure is good, I believe, and if people can start to look at it in the sense that you grow from failure, um,
Absolutely.
that can help to put some ease in their mind, I suppose. Excuse me.
You're good.
So for people that are thinking about kind of branching out and doing and starting their own business or doing things, it's a big step. Breaking that comfort zone and breaking that, you know, the comfort, of the stability is tough. So, you know,
Hmm.
could you give some type of uh, inspiration or motivation or guidance in the sense of, do you fully commit? Do you make sure that the plan is ironed out completely? What kind of tricks did you get to where you are? I know that you have a great support uh, group, but at the same time, when did you decide, all right, this is it? I'm working for myself. I can't do another person anymore. And how would you encourage others to do the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, you kind of have to know your own risk tolerance, because opening a small business is not for everyone, and that's okay. I don't think that anyone should be shamed for not wanting that risk.
Mm-hmm.
Because to a certain extent, I mean, it doesn't matter how sure of a thing someone you think it is, it's still risky.
Oh yeah.
And so you kind of have to, I guess, you have to go into it. Yeah, I approach a lot of things with kind of a stoic mindset. And stoic philosophy, without getting too deep into it, basically says imagine the worst case scenario and make yourself comfortable with it so that if it happens, it's not a surprise.
Uh,
And then do your best to move forward.
gotcha. I didn't know
Um,
that that's what it was called, but I do the same thing. Yeah.
and
Okay.
there's more, obviously, but so I guess my first step would be imagine the worst case scenario, and if you're comfortable with that, then move forward. And if you're
Mhm.
not comfortable with it, then be honest with yourself and renegotiate or rethink things. If you do decide to take the jump, like I said, yeah, coaching and support is going to be more valuable than you think it is. This
Mhm.
has been an extremely humbling experience for me. Um, Anybody who goes to school for 8 or 9 years starts to think that they're pretty awesome,
Yeah.
and then you get humbled. You get humbled by the world, by how real things work. And so having coaching and a support structure of some kind, man, vital for my
Mhm.
success in this position that I'm in right now. And then the last thing I would say is there's really no such thing as over planning. Whatever plan you think you've put together is probably not going to be detailed.
Yeah.
You're still things and have to play catch up. So like, and I learned, and this is super corny, but like when I played college football, I learned from watching my coaches prepare us for a game. I learned the value of precision and excellence. I'm not going to say
Mhm.
perfection, but excellence in everything that you do and all the little things and how you spend your time and how tightly you control,
Mhm.
you know, can control, because it does pay dividends on the back end.
So, as far as making those connections with your partners, is that something that kind of just fell at you, or was it something that you went out and actually pursued to find partners to start this, or was that and kind of walk us through the process of if you need to find connections, how to go about doing that, how to find the confidence to have the conversations, and what you did in that aspect.
Yeah, yeah, great. So I heard about these couple of guys last summer when I was
Hmm.
still working at a clinic in Mobile, and I heard the name, and I heard like one little sentence about somebody's trying to start some clinic over there, in Baldwin County, and it kind of went over my head. But the more I sat there, and the longer as 2019 went by, and I just kind of realized I didn't want to work for someone else.
Hmm.
The wheels really started to churn, and I kind of remembered that conversation, and so I just went digging online, and I think I got on like Indeed or one of these, like Monster or one of these job sites, and I found something that sounded promising for chiropractors. And so I give this guy a call. His name's Jake Matthias. He's about 32, 33 years old, and he and his father turned out to be my business partners. Long story short, like I said, they've been opening these franchises down here in the area for a while.
Hmm.
They've really got their wheels under them. They really know what they're doing. And so the more I talked to them, the more comfortable I became with, because they're not chiropractors, which is
Okay.
interesting.
Hmm.
Just businessmen.
Yeah.
They are regional developers for our franchise, and so their whole job is to find guys like
Yeah.
me who want to come in and do the thing. So the more we talked, the more comfortable I became, and then the big linchpin was getting up to Ohio and talking to corporate,
Yeah.
and that really impressed me to the point where I was ready to shake hands and make things happen. So it kind of fell into my lap, I would say, that right place, right time.
Yeah.
But I'm also always looking for opportunities,
Hmm.
and when you're always looking, those right places and right times occur a lot more often.
And you still, I mean, you did reach out. You took that step, and you saw something that you saw people that you felt could be valuable in furthering what you wanted to do in your dream and your goals, and you messaged them or you called them.
Yeah,
Um, and I think a lot of people, I'm myself included, have a fear of reaching out to people. Have a not necessarily a
sure.
fear, but it's it's an intimidating thing to have to be a business owner. It's an intimidating thing to have to be professional in these things to some people. And so just, understanding that you see the opportunity and you just jump on it. I think that can help a lot of people kind of navigate taking that step. If it can get to that point.
Yeah, man. I'm corny, but like Michael Jordan, I think said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Mm-hmm.
And it is corny, and but at the end of the day, I mean, you do have to be selective with your team. You don't jump into bed with the first opportunity that comes along. But if you vet, if you vet your people and things seem solid, having the courage, I mean, really it is courage to step out into that space, say, I'm interested in this. Can we talk about this? I mean, that was a big step for me too, to really go there and say, I'm going to do this thing,
Yeah.
really commit to it. It does take courage, and that's okay. I mean, I think that's not something that we should like shy away from saying, that it took courage for me to do this, or I had anxiety about this. Like, some of these things, I think there's stigmas attached to things being difficult. And I think that's unfortunate because things are difficult. I mean,
well, and I think another big stigma is what people think about other people, and I think a lot of people have that fear, even if they don't know it, that they are worried about what people think about themselves or them. And I've personally never had that problem. I've loved self-depreciating humor. My problem is what I think about myself at times. And I think a lot of people might deal with that as well. But having that confidence and having the goal and the vision, I think is a very important thing, and never losing sight of that. Never losing sight of through the failures, through the problems that you have, through the mental problems that people can come across. Keeping the eyes on the prize, and like you said, you miss every shot that you don't take. And I was.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I've heard, don't change your goal, change your strategy. And I like that, because I think goals are very achievable if we have the right strategy, but not every strategy is a winning strategy. So having, I think, the humility and the self-awareness, say, this isn't working, I'm still trying to get here, how can I change? And being willing to change, man, change is tough.
Oh yeah.
Change is really hard for everyone. So when it comes to being able to achieve your goals, you have to be willing to change things. You have to be willing to live in that kind of uncomfortable, changing space, sometimes for extended periods of time.
So I know you're doing the chiropractic, and I know you're kind of you're building that, but you're also kind of doing a social media type presence. It feels like, to where you're seeming to be motivational, inspirational. And health and wellness. So is that something that you're actually looking to further expand on, and to actually have more of a social media presence to bring more attention to your business as well? Or is that just something that you're doing just because you like to?
No, I'm always trying to expand my presence in order to bring attention to my business. Um, I guess that was really born out of seeing a need. Especially when I got on social media, I would see just nothing but anger and negative, kind of thought trains of thought lashing out, and I just wanted to provide something different, to people who were cool, or were willing to follow me, or pay attention to my stuff. I try to post, like exercises and stretches and health tips and things like that. On my Instagram, and then on our Facebook business page. But my personal Facebook page, as you've seen, is mostly inspirational stuff. Stuff that speaks to me, honestly, most of it. Stuff that I think about throughout the day, or something that I stumble across, something that a friend shares with me. And it's been great. It's been amazing, like the feedback I've gotten from people just saying, like, it's so nice to scroll through Facebook and see something like what you always post. You always positive stuff, man. It's so nice to like get that breath of fresh air.
I will completely agree with that. It's a very dark time right now in the world, and your posts have have been a sliver of light. You know, and it's, I think it's good. I think more people should do that. I think, you know, inspiring and motivating and caring about people, empathy is not hard to do, but it's so valuable in life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, to an extent, you know, I believe in the law of attraction and the fact that if you put good things out into the world, you're more likely to have good
Mm-hmm.
experiences. Part of that, I think, is mental. I think that if you're always looking for the good in every situation, you find it.
Yeah.
Uh, so then all of a sudden, every experience is a good experience because that's what you're focused on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, shifting the focus away from self and out to anybody else is, I think it's a hard thing to do. I really, um,
Well,
difficult.
yeah, objectively, it is. You know, I said it was easy earlier, but it is hard. I mean, it, realistically speaking, and objectively speaking, if someone's life doesn't impact me, you know, why should I care? Um,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, that's the reality for a lot of people. Um, but
Yep.
it is easy in the sense of, you know, practically and objectively looking at the situation that they're in, and then applying yourself to that. And it's not, you know, that in itself is easy. Now actually feeling the empathy and actually translating it and understanding it, that's completely different. But, you know, relating to people on a more empathetic level shouldn't be that difficult, in my opinion.
I completely agree with it. You know, with the exception of like antisocial personality disorder or
Yeah.
something like. I completely agree that on a daily basis, it's a very achievable goal for us to keep in mind. I'm going to be conscious of the people around me and whatever they're, and I'm going to filter that before I choose to respond.
Mm-hmm.
That before the response, that filter, that mechanism that says, is this person rushing to the hospital? Is that why they cut me off?
Yeah.
Is this have the worst day of their life? Is that why they won't get out of the way in the grocery aisle? I mean, it's all little things that really tear us up. And having that pause to think about what's happening to that person
Mm-hmm.
in their this moment and for the last week, month, year, whatever, huge,
Oh yeah.
huge.
And then when that in itself is, you know, is hard to be able to stop yourself, to be able to hold back and say, wait, you know, I don't know everything that's going on here. I don't know what they're dealing with. I don't know where they're at. And you know, there are times where it's, you know, someone's being an asshole, you're being an asshole. But
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you know, there's an underlying cause that we don't know.
Yeah.
And I've always tried to live my life to where, you know, uh, everyone I meet, I enrich their life in some way because, one, because it just makes sense in this world. We have no idea where anyone's going to be in the next 20 years, and on top of that, it's so much easier to be empathetic and love and encourage and motivate than to be a piece of shit. Excuse my language, but you know, it's yeah, it's
I
just it's yeah.
from what I've seen, and I'm not a mental health expert in any way, shape, or form, but from what I've seen in my life in those close, it seems like a lot of the time, trauma
Mm.
and negative, impactful events in life tend to manifest themselves back out later
Mm-hmm.
as anger and hate and negativity. So when I see now, I've trained myself to where when I see anger or when I see something that just does not make
Yeah.
sense to me, I start to wonder what happened to that person to make them feel
Mm-hmm.
this way now. I want to explore that. You know, I want to know you better. And that's been a huge consciousness shift for me. I was not always that way.
Yeah.
I was a very person through probably my mid 20s until my brain really fully developed.
Yeah.
Our brains don't really fully develop until like 25,
Mm-hmm.
26 years old. And so once I kind of hit that point and realized there's more to the world than me, I started to make some
Yeah.
big strides. But yeah, man, absolutely, that's awesome. That's awesome that you approach life that way. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's cool. I think that it's really hard, but I think that you're definitely on the straight and narrow path there.
Yeah. It is tough, and the thing is though is I've been through a lot of shit. I've been through a lot of good, a lot of bad. I've been a lot of different types of people. I've been. Am I allowed to cuss for you? Like, I don't want to. I don't want to. I
Yeah, man.
like my brand is pretty much authenticity. That's what Dad Bod
Yeah.
Man is. But
Gary,
so
Gary,
I've been the asshole. I've been the manipulator. I've been the devout Christian. I've been the party animal. I've been a lot of different things. And when I got to that same age, around 25, I started getting really depressed, which I didn't realize until about 2 years ago that that's actually what it was. Um,
okay.
but when I hit to that point, I really started to break down who I was and why I was doing the things that I was doing. Um,
Yeah.
and that's when I realized and I was okay with accepting what I could do to people in a negative way, and then realized I don't have to do that. I can
Yeah.
inspire and I can motivate and fulfill whatever might desire I might have to do that manipulation or whatever. But instead of serving myself, I can help other people. And I've kind of adopted that for the past 5 years or so. That as long as I'm helping somebody else, that's what matters.
Yes.
And being empathetic to what they might be going through, and I see tremendous sadness with a lot of people in our generation, because I just turned 31 yesterday,
Oh
and
wow.
a lot of people in our generation that seem just overwhelmingly sad, that seem lost, that seem like they're just looking for something that uh, you know they're done with the 9 to 5, and they don't have any way out. Which is kind of why I started in deception and what that's going to be. But I feel like empathy and concern for your fellow man shouldn't be as hard as it is for some people that claim to be good people.
I agree. I agree. Well, it also is interesting how it's very cultural.
Mm.
Uh, some cultures seem to emphasize empathy and care more than others. And unfortunately, I don't, from my perspective, I don't see America as one of those countries that emphasizes
Yeah.
others. I think America was built on the idea of the self and the idea of autonomy and the idea of me over everyone,
Mm-hmm.
the dream and the rat race. And I think that has created a lot of sadness, like you said,
Yeah.
a lot of emptiness because we 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 just consume this lie through our teens and our 20s that if I just get enough stuff and if I get the right paycheck, it's all going to come together. And
Mm-hmm.
then when it doesn't, everything crashes down.
Yeah.
And you see people try to cope with it. And you see the very worst of coping and you see the very best of
Yeah.
coping. Um, but at some point, everybody, it seems like in America, kind of hits that brick wall where you say, wow, the paycheck isn't making me happy like I thought it would, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think you're on the right track that helping another person is the highest possible good, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely helps me to feel like I'm actually doing something in my life.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I struggled with for a long time, because I've always pretty much felt like I was going to do something. I tried to kill myself when I was 13 and it didn't work. And since then, I've kind of just, I felt like I had something to do.
Okay.
And it's been keeping me alive since then. But I haven't known anything about what I was going to do. I've done music, I've been in bands, I've done construction, shipyard. I mean, I've done all types of labor that you can think of.
Yeah.
And, it got to the point last or 2 years ago to where I was just like, I'm miserable. I'm literally just I'm waiting to die. I'm wasting the best years of my life for somebody else, and I'm getting nothing from it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I know that I could be utilizing my gifts, my leadership, my abilities to inspire and motivate other people, but I haven't been doing that. And so it took me a long time. I mean, it took me until about 2 years ago, or last year, till I finally figured out what I wanted to do. And I feel like a lot of people, younger more so than our age, but even our age, they feel like they're running out of time.
Yeah.
And the truth is, uh, life expectancy is pretty damn long nowadays, and 30 is not that old, and there's plenty of time to do a lot of things. And
Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. That's cool. That's good stuff right there. Um, yeah, 30 is not as old as it used to be. Our life is increasing every year. And we seem to be stretching out adolescence quite a bit as well,
mhm.
which is fascinating. I mean, we just, until somebody graduates from college, we just don't really even consider them to be anymore. And I'm not sure what that's doing.
Yeah, I kind of have a issue with society's view on the youth. I feel like in our with us growing up, it was very much do as I say, and it's because I said so, and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know and when I've kind of processed it, I think it back, and I'm like, well, how I process things hasn't changed. How I received the information and how I understood it didn't change. So when I asked why, that was a valid question of why I was having to do whatever I was doing. And so I think that society, we kind of we underestimate the youth, and we treat them less than people. And realistically, they're just little people and a little bit dumber. they,
I would
they
say maybe.
less smart. I mean, they do eat Tide Pods, but um, so, you said you had to leave at 9:45.
Yeah, I've actually got a couple extra
Okay,
minutes. I
awesome.
pushed the
Um,
appointment.
so tell us, you clearly haven't been who you are now your whole life. Um, you know, I know you said that when you got to 25, that's when you kind of really started to break down that and started to change and evaluate yourself. But was there anything that kind of led to that, or was that just that age and you kind of just stepped back one day and was like, I need, I'm not the world right now.
Yeah, I would say there were probably a couple things. Sports, football in particular, was really my life.
Mm-hmm.
From maybe the age of 13 until I made it to onto a college football team, which was a big deal for me. And then I played for 2 years. And then at about age 20, I decided that I wanted to try out becoming a youth minister. And I actually wanted to seek a degree, a seminary degree, and possibly become like a lifetime, Christian minister. And so I went down that path for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years, and it didn't work out for a variety of reasons. And so I was kind of rethinking things, and I actually circled back to where I was playing football previously, and I got back on the team. And so that, as I look back, it kind of feels like I retreated back to a safe place that I knew
Mm-hmm.
in order to regroup, and that's what I did. And so then I finished up my playing career there, and at the same time, I had like a major relationship end in my
Mm-hmm.
life in a less than ideal
Yeah.
way. And so I would say probably the culmination of like football being over for me and a relationship ending
Mm-hmm.
and find out what I was going to do next with my life pushed me into a different headspace, um, gradually. Once I figured out I wanted to go to chiropractic school, that kind of felt like a weight off.
Yeah.
But for the first probably 2 years of chiropractic school, I really had to figure out if I was going to be serious about this and if this is what I needed to do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their coming of age story, and mine just took a little bit longer than some people. Um, but looking back on it, I think I was able to process things a little bit better because of the rate. I
Yeah.
think I needed,
Yeah.
as being, I have no trouble admitting that I needed some extra time. Maybe
Yeah.
I was a little slower in the uptake than some people, and
Well, and see, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with patience in discovering yourself or your passions or your goals or your dreams. There's nothing
yeah,
wrong in needing that time to be able to have the education that you need or the knowledge of the earth, the world and how it operates and the people in it. Um,
absolutely,
so I respect the hell out of you for one starting the company and for taking that step and you know just understanding that you have the capability of changing, if that makes sense.
but yeah,
And being being the best version of yourself possible, or striving to be, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh,
It, it's a struggle, but yeah, I think, and same to you, the fact that you were able to turn that corner as well, in a difficult time, in a difficult setting with lots of obstacles in your way, I'm sure, to be
well,
able to.
yeah, I'm still, I've yet to truly attack my brands in Indeception, because I know that mentally I'm not where I need to be. Because once I start, I have to keep going. I have to be able to drive it. And I know mentally, like there's days mentally where I just can't even get out of bed. There's days where
Sure.
I have zero energy and have no idea why. But what I'm finding is that depression is a bitch, and getting setting up things like this, setting up things that require me to, or how do I want to word this? I apologize for the dyslexia, everybody.
Like responsibilities, being able to
Well,
reset responsibilities.
not necessarily. And I'm ADD. It's gone now. I completely forgot what I was saying. It's whew. All right. Could
Oh,
you could you refresh where I was before I just caught myself?
I just think that what it like you're communicating is that being able to set up things that you kind of have to follow through
Yeah.
on, giving you stepping stones
Mm-hmm.
toward a stable place of growth for
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Or that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say getting to a position to where I feel like people are relying on me, in the sense that if I didn't show up for this, if we didn't do this, then I felt like I would let you down. I felt, and what I found for myself personally is I don't love and care about myself enough to do this yet. Um,
Yeah,
but I do love and care enough about people to know that I can get inspired from inspiring people, if that makes sense.
yeah, man, that
Um,
makes sense. And I agree with you that having somebody depending on you for something, it kind of pushes you into a different
mhm.
headspace than if it's just you. If it's just you, Tom Hanks with the volleyball on the island, I mean, I don't know if I get anything done in that scenario, but having business partners who depend on me, employee that depends on me, family members, whatever your personal situation is,
So
that's that.
how important do you feel uh, friends are in your journey and what you're doing? Like, as far as um, the influence that friends can have, negative and positive, is that something that you deal with, you think about? Is it something that all your friends are good and positive and inspire you? Because I know a lot of people do have toxic friendships, and I know a lot of people do have things that they don't want to break those ties, or a job that they just don't want to break those ties.
Yeah.
So how important, in your opinion, are those friend groups, the support groups outside of just business, to your mental and physical health?
That's a good question actually for me. I've been with all the things that I've been through in life. I've tended to cycle through friend
Mm-hmm.
groups with different stages of my life, and so I guess I've become very comfortable with the fact. Like for instance, I'm from Kansas, and I moved here a year and a half ago. I don't have family here. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have any. But I came here on vacation. I fell in love with the area, and I knew that I wanted to come here. I
Mm-hmm.
can't explain it beyond that. It was
Trust me, I know, man. I've been told my entire life that this place is a black hole and that I need to get out of it as fast as possible. And I've traveled the world. I've traveled the country with my last job, and there's no place like here. There's no place that I've been to that has the amount of talent that's here, and the people here. Didn't
that's
mean to
awesome.
cut you off. To get you can continue. My apologies.
Oh, I think I was just gonna kind of filter that, but through to say that currently, because of the move, obviously I've lost touch to an extent with
Mm-hmm.
some of my from Kansas, and I would say that it's probably more about busyness and priorities than it is about not being able to connect. I mean, social media
Yeah.
gives us the ability to connect with anyone at any time. But when it comes to personal energy and priorities, I have to I have to be stingy with my budget of energy.
Mm-hmm.
can't pour from an empty pitcher,
Yeah.
that kind of mindset
Oh
that,
yeah.
that you have to fill yourself up if you're going to be of any use to anyone else. And so you have to make tough calls, and you have to, I try to stay in touch with the people, the quality people that are
Mm-hmm.
important. Um, and I do the best I can with everybody. But at times there are just times that I have to say no
Yeah.
to a friendship, to trying to establish a connection with someone. I'm very grateful that I have a girlfriend who is extremely supportive,
Mm-hmm.
amazing human being. Couldn't ever begin to say enough good things about her. And so she is kind of my friendship
Yeah.
anchor.
Okay.
And then beyond that, my family is extremely supportive. I'm very fortunate to not have any toxicity in my family.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but then as far as spreading out from there into becoming a socialite, it's definitely been a very slow process. I am a very extroverted person. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy people. I enjoy all those experiences and going out and doing things. But I can tell now that I'm doing, I guess, a little bit more serious stuff. I can tell when I'm burnt out and when I just am not going to have the gas in the tank to
Yeah.
to invest.
Well, and that's something that a lot of people might take offense to, in the sense that I look at my friendships almost as like batteries. That I'm a battery that goes, and the energy is depleted, and if it's not there, it's not there. And I have a very bad problem of being able to adapt to any situation scenarios. So if I can put on a show. You know what I mean? I can make it seem like I'm fine. I can be that person, but it's just so mentally draining for me.
Yeah, I see you.
And you know, uh, it feels I feel bad almost for saying that, but at the same time, it's just how it is. People have those energy levels that they deal with, and it's not to say that them specifically or people specifically take that out of you. It's just doing anything sometimes just takes it out of you.
Yeah, not that anybody is necessarily like a vampire or anything
Mhm.
that they're trying to suck you dry. Everybody at times has everyone has times when they're more of a vacuum and when they're more of a giver.
Yeah.
And so, it's just circumstances and being able to balance that in a respectful way, and not being a jerk, but being able to say, I'm sorry, but I just can't commit to this
Yeah.
right now.
My biggest thing is I just don't answer the phone. I'm just like, all right.
Yeah.
I've so I had a question that I completely just lost. It was in regards to that. How it's gone forever. It's gone. Um, yeah, nope, it's gone. It's definitely gone. Well,
It's,
regardless of where your friend groups are now, you know,
yeah.
um, we've met now. I would consider you a friend at this point. I plan to and hope to do some more things in podcasts with you in the future. So and if you'd like to hang out, drink, whatever, then we can definitely do that as well. I personally think that you know friends, family, your support group, um, is extremely vital.
Yeah.
And you seem like you have a phenomenal one, which is great. Um,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
fortunate.
but a lot of people don't necessarily have that, and they run into that problem of recharging. That's what the question was going to be. How do you find yourself recharging? What do you do to recharge? How do you meditate? Do you just calm? Do you just distance yourself, or what are some steps that you take to re-energize your energy?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So yeah, I would say first of all, you touched on the fact that I do have some really good people in my life, and I know not everyone has that. And I am conscious of that, and I give thanks for it every single day that I'm in a situation where I have supportive people behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be very self-centered to the point that I thought, um, like pulling yourself up by your bootstraps was a real thing. I just don't really think that that's the case anymore. I think that everyone needs help.
Yeah.
And you have to admit that everyone needs help in order to really function
Mm-hmm.
socially.
That in itself is hard to do. You know, admitting it is one thing, and then asking for it. You know, that's for anyone that might be trying to start things, might be trying to start a brand or a business or whatever it might be. You know, recognizing that you're most likely going to need help, and being okay with asking for it, I think is a crucial step for anybody. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. But in terms of recharging my battery,
oh yeah, sorry.
um, no, it's I led us astray. Man, I tend to so I do a lot of art. I do a lot of visual art, like cartooning and stuff like that. That's always been a passion for me, and that is a meditative thing for
Mm-hmm.
me. Creating an image
Mm-hmm.
usually, um, it's something that I've kind of drummed up in my own head, and then I'm just trying to get it down on
Yeah.
paper. That's something that takes you to a different place mentally, where you're not processing the present, you're processing
Mm-hmm.
something entirely, and I find that very restful. So I try to do that. I do isolate myself when I need to from the world. I'll put the phone down. I'll do whatever to tune out. I'll go to the beach and sit under an umbrella for a while um, because we're too connected. We're
Yeah.
just too connected right now, and so that's a constant energy drain, whether people recognize it or not. The fact that we always have this device in our hand and we're always scrolling and we're always absorbing somebody else's information, that is an energy vacuum
Oh yeah.
that people need to recognize. I'm big on meditation. I don't do it enough, but I do it when I can kind of focus in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
big on gratitude.
You been on what
Um,
now? Say that one again.
Gratitude,
Okay, got it.
just making little lists
Mm-hmm.
of things before every morning and maybe in the middle of the day to kind of like reset where my focus is at. Gives me just a little like plugging the phone into the charger for 10 minutes at lunch kind of a thing,
Yeah.
just gives me a boost. Um, but
So
nothing beats just rest, just
yeah.
time resting.
So two points that Speaking of rest, how important is sleep? I have insomnia as well. I actually didn't sleep last night, but
Uh, Sorry.
no, I mean I've had it since middle school. How important is sleeping to the entire process of being able to stay mentally alert, being able to stay passionate and pushing, and do you think that it has that drastic of an effect mentally and physically?
I do think that there is some variety in the
Mm-hmm.
world in terms of this because I've heard of many extremely driven CEOs who sleep 4 hours a night and somehow they manage to function on that kind of a schedule. I think from what I've seen, the average person absolutely needs 7 to 8 hours of
Mm-hmm.
sleep. Um, what occurs during sleep is repair
Mm-hmm.
and rebuilding of things that get torn down throughout the day. So when you're going about your day and you're experiencing stress and chemicals are pumping through your body and you're that Coca-Cola or you're that whiskey or whatever, your body has to process all those chemicals and has to rebuild itself on a cellular level, and that takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time for the right hormones to be released and the protein kind of synthesis stuff to take place. So when you short yourself on rest, you're shorting yourself on rebuilding the foundation.
Yeah.
Over time, wearing down a foundation is going to lead to a shaky
Yeah.
house.
Absolutely.
So
Brandon Turner says I recently started tramadol for insomnia. Sleep is crucial. Yeah, I like I said, I've had it since middle school, and I've tried everything, and the things that work, I don't wake up in the morning, so I've actually found that I am kind of one of those people that do operate pretty well on 4 hours of sleep, or actually when it's when I'm plus 35 hours is actually when I'm like most attentive, but then I sleep for a day straight, um,
I got
but so going back, I wanted to kind of we mentioned isolating, and
yeah.
um, I kind of wanted your opinion on when that becomes dangerous, when the isolation becomes detrimental to your physical and mental health. Um,
Okay.
and because that's kind of something that I've realized over the past. I had a traveling job, and so I was gone for 2 to 3 months out of the time,
Gotcha.
and I would be in a hotel room, and so I got into this habit of distancing, of being isolated. And like yourself, I'm extremely extroverted as long as it's in a comfortable place.
Yeah.
I used to have house parties that had way too many people in apartment complexes, and loved it because I was able to monitor it and make sure that things went well.
Yeah.
But so, in your opinion, when does isolation become dangerous?
That's a great question, man. Well, first of all, I think you should be a little bit analytical about why you're isolating, and maybe set some kind of general guidelines for yourself. Um, a lot of people will just get tired and then they just go hide, and there's no like real thought process behind it. It's just kind of an instinctive, like, I need to get back into the dark recesses of my cave and lick my wounds for a while.
Mm-hmm.
As humans with a consciousness, we are able to set kind of guardrails and guidelines for ourselves, and we're able to sit down and kind of analyze and say, look, where am I at right now? Why do I feel the need to isolate? Am I tired? Have I not slept enough this week? Have I had a lot of interaction? Is it reasonable that I'm just worn out? Yes. Okay, then I need a day off, and I need to be focused on the fact that this is rest and recovery, that this is a good thing, not feel guilty about the isolation. Having the confidence and the self worth to tell people, I'm sorry, I can't do anything on Saturday because it's my rest day,
No.
long, long week. You understand,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're just isolating out of an instinctive need to creep away
Mm-hmm.
for long the time, and you're not analytical about why you're resting or how long it's going to be, setting timelines is always, no, I'm not just go a week or whatever. It's just going to be today,
Yeah.
those kind of things, those kinds of guardrails, I think, can keep you from steering too far into a bad place.
Yeah. Because that's something that a lot of people can't handle themselves. Um, it
Sure.
seems, and a lot of people can't handle the silence of themselves, and because you have to
Yeah.
face yourself when you isolate, when you become that alone, that isolated, you do have to evaluate yourself. You do have to face who you are and confront who you are. And with that said, we are social beings. If I feel like if you don't, you know, logically think about why you're isolating, like you said, that's actually a really good point. Um, it can become damaging into this extent that you're not allowing yourself to have those chemical reactions that you would normally have. That
Oh, oh,
and I didn't really realize that how big of a deal that was, and how big of a deal repetition of doing things that rewards those chemical balances, like repetitively doing it makes it to where it becomes more easy to do it, or the less you do it, the less you have of these.
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and so I think it is very important, like you said, to look at it and analyze why you're distancing. If it's for your growth, that's worth it. But if not, then I think that reaching out to people and actually trying to do something is a good start. Um,
yeah. There's, I think you touched on neuroplasticity and the ability of the
mhm,
brain to adapt, based on what we repeatedly do, and the
mhm,
fact that we repeatedly put ourselves in positive situations. If we repeatedly go out to have positive experiences, we can build those pathways easier in our brains where we release the serotonin when we have a good interaction with someone.
mhm,
Opposite is true. If we're never exposing ourselves to those kinds of scenarios, we can very easily degrade those pathways and make it harder for
mhm.
ourselves to have that balance. So yeah, absolutely, you have to think about it, and balance is obviously an important key there. And also, you said, we're social creatures, and that's why I think things like talk therapy, are so instrumentally important
Mhm.
for most of us, if we're being
Oh
honest.
yeah,
There's a huge stigma about that still, and it needs to go away,
I
because
yeah
being
I
able to, you know
I was just say I completely agree. I personally have never been to a therapist. I've never, I've gotten diagnosed with ADHD, but outside of that, I've never been for my mental health. Um, and I agree 100%. It is good for almost everybody. I think that if you're running your life and living your life that you know best and that your opinion is the only one that matters, then you're never going to be able to grow or change or adapt or become a better person because or even understand what you deal with. And I agree completely that there is a stigma that if you go to therapy, and it's kind of shifting. It's going away, I think, in our generation and the younger generations. But um, there is a stigma, and there was a stigma for sure growing up that if someone goes to a therapist, they're crazy, or if someone has bipolar, they're crazy. It's like, well, no, they're sick.
Yeah,
They have a mental problem, and if you understand it, if you understand a person and what they deal with, then you can react a lot differently to what they're dealing with because they can't control it. Um,
absolutely,
so I highly encourage everyone to seek therapy. Um,
absolutely, absolutely. And worst case scenario, talk it out with
yeah,
someone because I understand that therapy is, to an extent, it's a privileged thing
yeah,
to be able to pay someone,
hmm
fees. Um, so, man, if nothing else, find somebody that you trust and have a conversation about what's going on. You may not reach any conclusions, but just verbally,
hmm
defragmenting what's going on in your head can be really instrumental
oh yeah,
in at least creating some kind of a path to a better place.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. I think vocalize, like you said, vocalizing whatever's bothering you, whatever's on your mind. I think uh, is crucial to being able to address it. A lot of my conversations with people in person, it seems like I'm almost constantly arguing or countering everything that they're saying. But realistically, most of the times, I'm actually having a conversation with myself, and I'll answer questions myself, and I'll change my mindset in the entire conversation as it's going on.
yeah,
And because I heard it, I actually heard what I was saying, and I heard what was up here instead of it just being up here. And
yeah,
so I can, you can evaluate one how somebody receives what you just said, and two, get another opinion about things, or even just have someone to listen to. I think that's extremely important all
absolutely.
around.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to shift focus again, it's just, I think we talked about this earlier, being able to shift focus away from yourself, you know, even when it comes to your own issues,
Mm-hmm.
shifting focus away from yourself and getting it out there on the table can be really instrumental in ironing things out.
No. We'll do one last little question. How important is eating, is food, and is that in regards to mental health, physical health, all of that? I know there's a lot of up in the air. Work out, just eat less. Eat less. Whatever the word is I'm looking for right now. Then you burn and you'll lose weight. Or eat healthy and it'll change your life. And so what, in your opinion, how valuable is eating healthy or eating healthy or a
Yeah.
diet?
Well, so we touched on hydration earlier
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that that's extremely important. Then we touched on sleep. And I would say for the average person, those two things just need to be one and two on a daily basis. Nutrition, I would say, is I think that nutrition is much more important than we've been led to believe in the United States because we have such an emphasis on producing more low quality food
Mm-hmm.
all. So if we're constantly producing low quality, and when I say low quality food, what I mean is food that is high in things like sugar
Mm-hmm.
and low in things like vitamins and minerals. Um, so we're producing this food that has caloric content. We are the masters of fats and carbohydrates, um, but it's all of these soy based, corn based, kind of options that are leaving people completely devoid of the nutrients they actually need.
Mm-hmm.
I would say nutrition, as they study it more and more, one of these kind of newer innovations is the fact that the gut is kind of your second brain. and your gut produces a lot of the serotonin in your
Mm-hmm.
body is actually produced in your
Hmm.
digestive, and what you eat directly influences how much of that is produced. So in my own life, I've seen that my diet directly affects my mood and my productivity and my athletic ability. I mean, you name it. Um, but in other people's lives as well, I've
Yeah.
seen they make a change. And I'm not talking about go vegan. I'm not talking about like these massive, impossible changes that people, are
Yeah.
afraid of. I'm talking about eat more spinach and kale every day, try to cut out the sugar, and just try to balance your diet a little more.
Mm-hmm.
It can make a huge impact. It can make a big change just trying to dial in a few things at a time,
Yeah.
realistic way to get to a place where you're not just constantly shoveling in the next fat boy burger or whatever.
Yeah. Um, that led. I was going to ask another question because you mentioned something, but last one. Uh, how, we've talked about the hydration, we've talked about uh, the diet, we've talked about sleep. How important is two part? How important is physical exercise? How important is getting out in the sun? Um, and how important is um, meditating and actually doing self-reflection and actually taking time to listen to your body and listen to yourself. How important do you think those things are as well as far as overall health and wellness goes?
Well, vitamin D, as far as like getting out in the sun goes, that everybody's known for a long time vitamin D and depression um, are intimately connected. And if you're not getting enough sunlight, the chances of mild to moderate depression uh, goes up.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, there's been a big push with vitamin D and the immune system for obvious reasons. And so they're talking about how vitamin D has all of these effects on our body's ability to fight off infection
Mm-hmm.
and agents of that variety. Um, so getting out in the sunlight, I think, is important. I preach it. I think getting out for even like 15 minutes a day can be extremely helpful.
Now, as far as comparatively to say taking a vitamin, taking vitamins that have vitamin D, would that I know that this isn't your field, and I know that I don't want to put you on the spot there, but um, is that essentially the same, or is it actually a different? If you are getting out in the sun, is it the overall experience of going out in the sun that does it for you, or is it just the vitamin D in your
Well,
experience?
that's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both. I will say that the vitamin D thing, a lot of people are taking supplements that, even though they might contain what they say they contain, it's not bioavailable. It's not actually being absorbed into the body,
Gotcha.
put it in. And like the pressed tablets, the men's one a days,
Mm-hmm.
the honestly, a lot of the stuff on the shelf at Walmart, because it's so old, it's been stocked for so long, and then the production quality. A lot of people don't know that the supplement industry is like largely unregulated
Yep.
by the FDA. And so, getting a supplement, if you're going to go the supplement route, which I do suggest, getting a high quality supplement that's actually going to absorb into your body is a huge
Gotcha.
deal, because most of us don't produce enough vitamin D. I want
Mm-hmm.
to say the in the 90% range, that we're not producing enough vitamin D on a daily basis because we don't live out in the sun like we
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah.
Ago, everybody was out in the sun all day, every day, and now we hunker down in our air conditioning, and it's having an effect on our health.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that along with that, as you mentioned, there's a component of just getting outside
Mm-hmm.
and connecting with nature and grounding yourself in order to sound like a complete hippie. But there is just truth to that.
Well,
We are natural
yeah,
creatures.
and I mean, and to a degree, we are just electrical currents, and so
Yeah,
grounding, it has a point.
you break it down far enough, we're all strings,
Yeah.
strings of energy, and the grass is the exact same. It's just it's built in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think that getting out in nature is important just for the fact that we need to kind of connect with our home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, exercise and mental exercise as well as physical. First of all, I think that those two can be connected. Oftentimes, when I physically exercise, I'm also mentally exercising.
And
Uh,
how do you go about? Would you like how would you go to that point?
so I like to like I'm a strength trainer. I
Mm-hmm.
like to do weightlifting and things like that. Um, so the first thing that I do is tune into my body as I'm moving.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of dial in on different muscle groups and joints. How well is this moving? Is there any stiffness? Is there any lack of range of motion? Does any muscle feel weak, or just
Mm-hmm.
anything? And that's kind of the first, like, the warm up part of my process. And then as I get further into my workout, I shift my thinking. A lot of the time, I find myself shifting into considering things that have been bothering me recently. And I'm not an expert on this, but I think that the connection between physical exertion and kind of clearing your mind of
Mm-hmm.
things, I think that that's a synergistic thing. I think that when you're doing both, it has some kind of therapeutic value that I really can't explain the way that I probably should be able to, but it's undeniable for me personally, that by the end of a workout, when I'm physically tired, I'm almost mentally refreshed.
Okay, that
If
makes sense. Yeah, that makes completely sense. And that kind of ties into the meditation question as far as stopping and listening to your body and what is it saying to you, what is hurting, what's sore, what's
Yeah,
so
yeah, sure. I think meditation is a big deal. I think that, especially down here in the Bible Belt in the South, you hear meditation and you think like weird Eastern yoga,
mm-hmm,
not philosophy, and it drives people away. But the Bible uses the word meditation multiple times.
mm-hmm,
So, meditate on my word day and night, all those kinds of things. Um, you can take the word to mean whatever you want it to mean, I guess.
yeah,
But my understanding of meditation is just like you said, it's kind of tuning in to the inner self and listening long enough to hear anything that needs to be said that
mm-hmm,
I've been intentionally or unintentionally, and then trying to find a way to deal with it. I think that that's huge. I think that we just kind of like pack things down for a long time. We never stop, and we go and we go and we go and we scroll and we scroll and we scroll. Um, and like you said earlier, it's hard to be comfortable with yourself when you're alone.
mm-hmm,
It takes discipline. It takes stick to itiveness, to be able to do that. But there is a relationship that you develop with the self when you put the time in,
mm-hmm.
and I think stronger people for sure.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I know for myself at least, I've always kind of, I mean, I walked for 3 years without an ACL, and so I kind of had to learn. Yeah, it was hiking. I did about 5 miles a day, and so I had to learn how to listen to my body really quick because I I knew what would happen if I didn't, and I stepped wrong, and it would, and I'm out in the middle of a field. Um,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
think that meditating and just listening to your body and personally just being able to be alone with your thoughts and iron it out and get everything out is extremely important to personal growth and growing. Um,
Preach.
so I guess we can wrap this up. Would you have anything else you'd like to say? Do a shout out for your company, who you are, and exploit it, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm Dr. Jesse Schultz. I'm a chiropractor in Spanish Fort, Alabama. Health Source of Spanish Fort is the name of our clinic. We're here Monday through Friday. We love to help people move better, become stronger, get rid of pain, and live a more healthy life. So if there's anything that I can do for anyone, not just related to physical health, but just in general, I am more than happy to at least listen and entertain the idea that I could be of use for someone. Um, I hope people feel comfortable reaching out to me. My whole goal with my social media, with all the advertising that I point out, is to be approachable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I like to emphasize that, the fact that I am to at least have the conversation and see if I can be of use. I want to thank you for your time as well, man. This has been a blast.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely, and hopefully, like I said, I'd like to be able to do, it's up to your schedule and what you can do it, but once a month, if not more, because I'm trying
yeah,
to get to a point to where I do podcast interviews with masters of the craft, people that are running businesses that know what they're doing, and that as I start to do other podcasts with people that are trying to start brands or building their things, they can have someone to talk to or listen to or ask questions to, and for
awesome,
issues that they might have. So, um,
awesome.
well, guys, Jesse Schultz at I forgot the name. Wait, no, I didn't. I got it right here. Nope, I forgot it again.
Health Source.
Health Source. That's
Health Source.
look, man. Um, use promo code DadBodMan for a high five at checkout.
Yeah.
But once again, I thank you a lot for it, man. This has been a phenomenal interview, talk, whatever it might be. And looking forward to the future of doing more with you.
Sounds great, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, appreciate it, Jesse.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye. Whack. Whack. Get out of here, Discord. Get. Why are you here? Get out of here. All right, guys. I am. Where am I at? Where's my body at? Body, come here. Body. Body. My body. My body's telling me yes. Fix my knee bone. All right. I'm gonna get off for a bit, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Sorry for it cut out midway, but I think we got it working again. And anyone that's there, thank y'all for watching. I'm trying to get my podcast schedule. Stretch the screen. Now, trying to get my podcast stream set up. Sorry. Okay, Monday. Jesus. All right. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I will be doing podcasts at 5 p.m. Tomorrow, I'm not sure because I might be working with Bo, but I will let y'all know. And yeah, I think next week we're going to try to set up another early morning podcast. I'm going to try to get to where I can do 2 a week. And if you would like to do a podcast with me, if you're trying to start a business or do anything like that, stretch plus the face. Reach out to me. I would love to work with people. I think TJ and Alec are coming over Thursday, and we're gonna do some jamming on some music. So hopefully we can make up something nice. And I'll keep you guys posted on my schedule, and I'll be kind of making a shift to doing everything. So, all right, guys, thanks a lot. And I got to think about a name for this shit. All right.